Hi. So I'm about to tell you guys a crazy story about the time I traveled to Rome with my family.
The time that the Italians stole our Christmas.
Okay, so we are going back to December of 2016.
So today we're talking about an incident in 2016.
So it was, I think, in 2016.
I am Sean. I'm married to G, and I'm also the audio engineer and sound engineer for everything Daddy Issues related. The guy behind the scenes, making sure that everything sounds and looks good for the girls.
There's a little bit of backstory required, especially for me and Sean's side.
I'd been stationed in Germany for a little while. At this point, since 2014 or so.
I had gotten married and moved to another country pretty young.
I was a sophomore in college, and me, my younger sister, Kay, my mom and my dad were going to visit my older sister, G, and her husband in Germany, where he was stationed.
And my family had gotten to come out a few times to do trips, but this was the first opportunity for G's family and her sisters to come out and see us.
I hadn't had a few Christmases with my family, like in a while.
And this is right on kind of the heels of their mom and dad getting back together. So this was kind of like a big, like within the family, they were getting back together kind of for the first time as well.
So I knew I wanted to do it up big. I wanted to spoil my family this Christmas.
So we really kind of went all out. At the time, I was making like no money, but we probably had invested somewhere around like between airfare and hotels and rental cars and presents, like $3,000 into this trip, which was like a massive, massive, massive sacrifice. It was more than I made in a month, right?
So I begged my husband to let us ball out, even though we were in no position to do so.
So we've been saving up for like the entire year to make this happen and kind of gotten everything ready.
So we were super excited to go to a European Christmas. We were going to go visit them in Germany and then take a trip over to Italy to end the trip.
So my family came out to visit. We were living in Germany at the time, and we had planned a trip to the Amalfi Coast. And we decided it would be in our best interest to do an early Christmas to just kind of get the gifts out of the way, so that way we didn't have to worry about all of that while in Italy.
And the plan was that we were going to, it wasn't exactly Christmas, but I think it was early December. We were going to go to Rome to fly into, get rental cars, head down to Naples and the Amalfi Coast, which was the destination that had been planned, and kind of celebrate Christmas there. Now, they had come in to Germany originally, and we had all the gifts, all the presents. We could have done an exchange there and not brought it all with us, but we decided, no. We're going to go do it in Italy, was the big plan, right?
We were in Germany. We did Christmas.
We had just celebrated Christmas, and my sister G and her husband went like balls out. Like, they got us so many amazing things. So I got my mom an iPad. I got my sisters Fitbits, which were all the rage at that time. And we just spent way more than we really could at the time.
And I can remember that G and her husband, I believe, got my mom an iPad. And it was really exciting. It was like a really big purchase and something that she wanted. And I know they were really, really excited about it.
I got a lot of Jeffree Star makeup, and I had never gotten any sort of high-end makeup before, so that was amazing. And they got my mom an iPad, and we were just having a really genuinely good time spending time with each other. And then also on the top of it, we got amazing presents.
Now here's the part where I believe they got me and Kay something as well that was on the pricier end, but I can't remember what it is, and I feel really bad. But it was something, and I know that they definitely splurged for all of this. And, with us going to Germany for Christmas, they definitely, like I said, splurge. So super exciting. We had our Christmas, super fun. And then we, went over to Italy to finish off our trip.
So we did the Christmas. Everybody was super thrilled with the gifts. I was pleased with myself. And we went on to travel to Italy.
So we flew into Rome and we rented a car because our plan was to drive to the Amalfi Coast.
In order to get to the Amalfi Coast, we had to fly through Rome. And we were going to rent cars and then drive to the coast.
So as we land in Italy, we pick up our rental cars in Rome, and we are 5 minutes away from the Colosseum. I mean, you can see it like down the road. And where our destination was about 4.5, 5 hours away. So if we wanted to make a pit stop later to go see the Colosseum, it was going to be way out of the way. Like it would be 8 hours round trip to do it.
And then we traveled to Rome together. And once we landed in Rome, we decided to be spontaneous. And we went to go see the Colosseum.
Then we kind of figure, when in Rome, right? It's saying for a reason, might as well go check things out and see some of the tourist attractions.
Since we were in Rome, we were like, well, we might as well sightsee a little bit while we're here before we drive to the coast.
And so we're already in Rome. We're like, okay, it's right up the road. Let's go ahead and do it.
Now, when we decided to do that, we had to find some parking, and it was very crowded and busy, and we could not find parking together at first. We were driving around for forever.
So we packed all of our luggage in the rental cars. We had 2 separate rental cars. So G and her husband were in one with all of their luggage. And then me, Kay, my mom and dad were in the other with all of our luggage.
And then we were able to find parking for the car that I was in with my sister G and her husband.
My husband and I have one rental car. The rest of my family, my dad, my mom, and my sisters have the other rental car.
So we went and parked. It was kind of difficult to find parking, but we happened to find a spot on a really kind of busy public street. We pulled in, we parked there, and we were going to go walk around and sightsee.
So we park our cars. We find parking on a massively crowded road in broad daylight around 2 p.m. We manage to find parking. We pay for parking. We make sure that we're validating that we're okay, we're good here.
And then I think it was my brother-in-law got out and was standing in front of a parking spot for the rest of my family in the other car. And then they finally found parking, and it felt like kismet. It was wonderful.
So we park our cars. It's kind of confusing. My husband and I park in this like parking lot while the rest of my family parks on the street.
A note about these rental cars. I don't know the make or model of them, but there's no such thing like them in America. It is a completely different brand or some sort of rejected brand. And what's special about them is you've got the windshield on the front, but in between the driver's and passenger side, like the windows that would go down, there's another piece of glass that has no security, no sensors. There's no alarm on this. You can punch through it, reach in, unlock the door, grab whatever you want and go. Of course, big cities in Europe are really bad for pickpocketing as well as theft and break-ins.
I'd heard of people getting robbed in Rome, pickpocketed, that sort of thing. But for some reason, having a vehicle being broken into didn't even cross my mind.
And there are no privacy blinds on the back of these vehicles as far as like kind of something to hide your stuff. But we were like, okay, we're gonna be in and out 10 minutes. Let's just go check it out and see what's going on.
At that point, I was just, thinking about pickpocketers, making sure I keep my wallet and my phone in a place that it's, not going to get stolen. So that was what was on my mind, as we were walking around.
And we all get out of our cars. Mind you, we have everything with us, all of our luggage, everything my family came to Europe with, everything. And less on me and my husband's side because we lived in Germany, so we didn't have as many things, but my family brought everything.
And then, as we were walking away from our cars, we noticed there was this lady standing by our car, like lurking, and we were instantly suspicious. And we walked back, but she was gone. So we're like, oh, okay, we're good.
And so we park our cars, we get out, we're on the street, and we notice this woman, older woman, kind of looking around, snooping into cars, looking in this one car, and this couple comes up and she kind of scurries away because it was their car. They drive off.
We walk down to the Colosseum, and as we're leaving, we notice that there's a woman kind of standing nearby the cars, but it's just like an older lady, wearing her sunglasses, kind of posted up. And if you've ever been to Eastern or Western Europe, just kind of people hanging out on the street it's pretty common. So we really didn't take too much talking, but it was like a little fishy.
And then she's looking in our car, and we're like, what is she doing? We literally freeze on the street staring at her. And she's snooping, and then she looks at us, and she smiles. And I will never forget the look on her face. It haunted me to my core. She smiled this creepy, knowing smile. And we all froze, and we're like, what is that? And then a bus pulls up, blocks her from our view. The bus leaves and she's gone. So we're like, okay, that was really weird. Let's go explore Rome.
And then we went to the Colosseum, which was very cool, but also very crowded. And you just felt like everyone was in your own space. And if you bumped into someone, I remember this happened to my brother-in-law, you thought someone was stealing from you just because it was just so crowded. And that's what Rome is known for, stealing.
We walk down the Colosseum and it's closed. Like there's some sort of construction going on. We can't even go inside. So we're kind of like, okay, well, we've seen what we really can see. We've already made her dad get out of the car and move. It's like, okay, it's time to head back.
So we go to look around, and I don't know what came over me, but I could not stop crying. It was the weirdest thing in the world. I just was crying. Like, not cute girl crying, okay? Not a single tear rolling down my cheek. Sobbing.
And then, we took some pictures. We had some fun.
Every photo that we take, I'm just like splotchy and just like freaking out. And everyone keeps asking me, like, gee, what is your problem? Like, why are you ruining this trip? And I'm just like, I don't know. Like, I just feel really I'm upset. Like, I don't know what's wrong with me. I quite literally could not, I could not decipher my own emotions in that moment. And we continue on. We see some really cool things. We decide to stop for pizza.
We stopped for like a water or something at Convenience Mart.
On our way back, we're just kind of hanging out, enjoying Rome. And we decide to head back to the car to start our road trip to the coast.
But we walked back to our car.
Then we headed back to the car. I believe that I was like walking towards the front of the group. So I was the first one to walk up to our rental car, the one that me and Kay had with my mom and dad.
As we're walking back up to the cars, and again, broad daylight, 1,000 people on the street.
As we approach the car, my sister S is ahead of me.
And I saw the passenger side window was smashed in. And I was like, oh my gosh, our window is smashed. The first thing I was thinking is, I don't know, I thought it was accidental. Maybe a rock hit the window. And I was like, oh man, this is going to suck. Like dealing with this, and it's a rental car and insurance in a foreign country. Like, man. And then I looked in and I saw all of our stuff was gone. So I turned around and I'm like, all of our stuff is gone. Everything's gone.
I hear S shriek, just blood curdling shriek.
Instantly, I heard S scream. And it was like the most high-pitched scream I think I've ever heard in my life. And I heard my other sister give birth.
I just hear her scream, the loudest scream I'd ever heard. And I just knew, like, something was terribly wrong.
And I kind of was able to piece 2 and 2 together what had happened. And she just says, everything's gone.
And then we instantly all started, like, running towards that direction. And the car door was just smashed. And everything was gone. All of our gifts, all of our clothes, my dad's medicine. He had so much medicine.
Her dad had just been diagnosed with an illness. He was also, and still is, mobility impaired. So that's also kind of important to note. Her mom's a nurse.
And I run up and she's like, somebody's, like, they robbed us. They freaking robbed us. And I could tell that she was still herself processing what had just happened. And we're looking in the window. There was a small window. It was like the little window, not the main front window, but the little window triangle part in the front had been smashed in, and all of their luggage was gone.
And so we open up the trunk, we open up the car, and all of our luggage is gone.
I mean, me and my husband's car, not touched. Totally fine. But exactly where that woman was standing, our car, like my family's car, was broken into.
Now, we did have 2 separate rental cars. G and I were in one with our personal belongings, and I think like that's a fraction of the Christmas gifts. The vast majority of everything was in the car where K, S, their mom and dad were riding in.
And we're piecing together all the things that are missing. My sister S, she had all of her college like belongings, everything she ever had in the car. All of the Christmas gifts that I pushed to get, gone. Just like that. Gone. And their passports, of course. Priority number 1.
But it was just like slowly you started to realize everything was gone. Like my mom's new iPad that my sister was so proud that she was able to get my mom was gone. These wonderful, thoughtful gifts that my sister got us, gone. My favorite clothes, because we're on vacation, gone.
Now, like I said, this was my sophomore year of college. So my first thought was, oh my gosh, all of my makeup is gone. You know, we're in Europe for, like I said, a European Christmas, and 19-year-old Sonia, the first thought on her mind was definitely have to get Instagrammable photos here. And how am I going to do that without my makeup? So I scream, oh my gosh, my makeup's gone.
Not to mention all of their stuff from college, all of their passports, and then her father's medication.
And then, my parents and everyone, we get to the car and we're like, holy shit, everything's gone. And then I start screaming like, oh my God, our passports are gone. And I see the look on my mom's face and then she was like, oh yeah, crap, what are we gonna do? But she wasn't quite freaked out yet from me saying that. But then I was like, oh my gosh, Dad's medicine is gone.
Now, his medication is equivalent to like taking insulin away from a diabetic. If he doesn't have it within a couple hours, he will die. So S is shrieking in the road. We're kind of getting a grip on what's going on. I'm sure that we were a spectacle for the Italians to see as we're there just literally freaking out about what's going to happen, what to do next, because we hadn't even gotten to our final destination. So words of the wise, if you're ever traveling, drop your stuff off before you do anything else, even if it's 8 hours out of the way, because it's worth your time.
My dad's medicine, gone. So now we had to figure out how to solve that.
Like, it's gone. It was in the luggage. And at that point, my dad had recently been diagnosed with pretty severe form of lupus and really needed his medication and his like immunosuppressive medications and things like that. And that's when I saw the look on my mom's face go from like, this is bad, but we'll figure it out, to like, oh shit, what are we gonna do?
My mom and Sean jump into action. My dad, I don't even know if he knows we got robbed still to this day, to be honest. He was kind of out of it, but we're all freaking out, hysterical.
Now, I don't like to say that women are hysterical. I think it's overused. But my sister S was hysterical. Rightly so. All of our shit was gone. But I swear, she said, I'm just going to punch this brick wall. And I was like, a brick wall? Looking back, it's funny. But all of our stuff was gone.
All of it. And I'm freaking out. S is freaking out. K is just frozen.
I was calm. I don't think it fully hit me what was happening.
We stayed at the car. I believe me, Kay, G, and my dad were at the car. And I remember being so angry. Like, I think I verbalized that I wanted to punch a brick wall that was just like by the car, and someone stopped me. Thank God I didn't do it.
My mom and my husband are just straight into action because they realize their passports are gone.
Our passports, gone. How do you get a new passport in a foreign land? Fuck if I know. Just gone.
We go to the embassy because first things first, we want to report things have been stolen. We want to try to get passports back, whatever we can do, because we've got a flight in like 5 days, like getting back to Germany and then for them to get back to America. So we needed that primarily.
I'm emotionally distraught, freaking out. Honestly, I don't really remember how other people were reacting because I was just completely freaking out. I do believe that my mom and Gloria's husband went to the police station to fill out a police report.
So my husband and my mom go figure out like what they have to do. They're going to the embassy. They're sorting out what to do without their passports.
So then we had to go to an embassy and we had to wait for a while, get our picture done. We had a replacement, like temporary passport.
We did have to go to the embassy and get temporary passports and all of that stuff. Luckily, that went smoothly.
As we roll into the embassy, the police don't even respond to what's going on. We're probably the 25th break-in they've had that day. It's just something to them that happens. It's no different than people jaywalking. Like, cars get broken into here, stuff gets stolen all the time. We're not investigating. There's nothing to do about it.
People are walking by on the street and they're like, yeah, it happens. It sucks. I'm sad for my country that this is what it's come to.
So we definitely felt discouraged there. And then we realized, oh, well, we need to get Dad his medication because we are like T-minus 3 hours at this point from him essentially being in a medical emergency situation.
So we're freaking out. We're realizing my dad's medication is gone. We're trying to figure out the passport situation. Honestly, mostly me and my sisters are sitting on the street just upset.
At a certain point, we were like, let's go check like trash cans and dumpsters. I think there were a couple of like big dumpsters because we were in like the city center. We're like, maybe someone went through the bags, took out the valuables, and just, dumped the rest in a dumpster. We're just hoping, honestly, at that point, to find my dad's medicine.
Then Kay realizes that our Advent book is gone, and that is something that's been with us since we were kids.
Something that really really like made me sad, like genuinely sad that was gone, was our Advent book that we had since we were children. We would read it every Christmas. We specifically brought it so that we could continue the tradition.
There's a love note in there from her childhood crush who wrote her a letter, and every Christmas we would forget about it all year.
And in that Advent book, the only love letter I have ever gotten was tucked in there because my family likes to make fun of me and bring it out every year. I got it in first grade. Gone.
But every Christmas we would open it up. It was just in there, and we would just poke fun, make fun. It just give her a ton of attention that I think she secretly loved. And she sits there and she's realizing, she goes, oh my gosh, that Advent book is gone. They're going to throw it straight in a dumpster. They don't care about that. That's our family's thing. And at that point, she just loses it. And that's when I knew, like, Christmas is ruined for me. When Kay breaks down, everything's done.
After my mom and G's husband, I put in the police report. They came back, and somehow it was determined that we need to go to an Italian hospital to, go get medicine for my dad.
But then we had to figure out my dad's medicine because he had none. They just took it. Why would you take some strange man's medicine? I don't know.
Me and my mom, I'm not sure why it's me and her, but everybody else stayed in the car, I think, and me and my mom went and took my dad to the hospital because we had to get his medicine situation rectified.
Their mom is a nurse, and I'm convinced that without her on this day, he would have died. It's a guarantee.
So we drive over to the hospital, and I believe it was my mom, G, and my dad who went in, and me, G's husband, and Kay stayed out in the car because now we're paranoid. We're like, well, we don't want to get robbed again, even though we didn't really have anything to get stolen.
But we went to a hospital. I waited in the car for a long time, but I'm pretty sure the medicine in Rome was cheaper than in America, so that's a reflection we should have on America and our healthcare system.
We end up going to like 3 different hospitals / urgent care centers to try to find somebody that will A, take him at all, and B, would be able to get prescription with it translated to English, right, for what he needs.
And I just remember sitting in the lobby just crying. I just couldn't stop crying.
It's apparently I didn't get to go inside the hospital, but apparently like the doctors were smoking inside. It was just like the standards there are totally different. And their mom was able to find the medication that he needed and get him taken care of.
This hospital was a mess. People were smoking inside. The doctor didn't really seem to care. I mean, we got the medication, so that was good.
Oh, all of this going on. The reason why I mentioned, the Christmas stuff to begin with is because all of that new, the expensive gifts that they bought us were also stolen at the time. So, we didn't want anything else to get stolen. So we're all in the car. My mom, G, and my dad are in the hospital trying to communicate with people who don't speak English. Obviously, we're in Italy trying to figure out how we can get my dad's medicine. Somehow, my mom did it. I don't know how.
So we probably spent another 4 hours in the city just kind of running around, going to hospitals, going to the embassy, taking care of all this stuff before we could actually even go to our hotel. And the girls had to pick up like random clothes that they could get, just enough to kind of get through, toiletries, you name it. And then we made kind of our way to our next destination.
We secured the medicine and we're like, okay, well, I guess we're going to finish off our trip to the Amalfi Coast. We taped up the passenger side window with duct tape and drove, I want to say it was like 4 or 5 hours to get to our Airbnb in the Amalfi Coast and, tried to enjoy the trip to the best of our abilities for the rest of our trip.
Everything was ruined. I just had worked so hard to create a special Christmas. I felt so much guilt from moving away, and I just wanted to make this Christmas the most special Christmas that we could have ever had.
And, the benefit of having sisters, G's stuff did not get stolen. So, it was kind of like my dream. I got to borrow all of my older sister's clothes and makeup, still got plenty of Instagrammable photos.
We spent the rest of the trip in Rome just wearing my brother-in-law's clothes because all of my clothes were gone, and having a deep hatred for the Colosseum.
And I do think that we ended up making the best out of the trip. But let me tell you, it was chaotic and definitely dramatic.
So the rest of the trip, I guess, was fine. It definitely put a damper on a trip. This is something we don't really talk about as a family. In fact, I think this is the first time I've talked about it probably in the 9 years since it happened.
At this point, I was so checked out, I honestly couldn't even focus on having a good holiday. but everyone tried. We all tried to keep upbeat. We were able to get our passports situated, and most of the things were replaced. I don't think everything was replaced, but it was a really heartbreaking Christmas. And to this day, I have no desire to ever visit Rome again.
The Italians really stole Christmas from us, and it was harrowing. It stinks to get robbed. I think, like, major takeaway for me here, if you're ever thinking about taking something from somebody, or especially if you're taking a purse from someone or like a personal belonging, you don't know what medication that person might have or what they need to survive. Yeah, okay, an ID or a debit card is inconvenient, right? But we were in a medical emergency situation, right? The passports were able to be replaced. They were able to make their trip home. But we're very fortunate that their dad survived this encounter. And I love Italy. I would recommend Firenze, Florence to anybody that wants to go. But Rome was just a disaster for us. And that's kind of how it went.
And that's all I remember because I have the worst memory in my family. Okay, love ya. Bye.
Bye.